You're listening to The Real Short Box, a comic book podcast made for geeks by geeks.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming out and listening to The Real Short Box. My name is Donald.
And my name's Jarrett. How about that?
Oh, yeah. And Jarrett, are you ready for some gamma ray action?
Yeah, I'm ready to get into some feminine gamma ray action because today in our comic book character history, we are spotlighting none other than Jennifer Walters, aka the She-Hulk.
Yes. Whether she be savage or sensational, we are spotlighting her regardless because she is an amazing character that just honestly, when the way I look at it is it's really hard for me to like characters that are kind of almost exact copies of other characters. So for me, Jennifer Walters shouldn't work because she's a basic Hulk character, but like a female Hulk. They called her She-Hulk, and I was like, when I was younger, I was like, that's stupid.
Right.
And then I grew up, and I was like, wait a minute, this sensational She-Hulk run is actually pretty funny. And I like funny. And then I grew up more, and then I was like, wow, like She-Hulk in general, there's some good stuff with this character that you don't get with Bruce Banner. She's like a complete opposite of what he is.
Which was completely smart of them. Yeah, they took her in a completely, even from the get-go, they put her in a totally different like trajectory than what they had with Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Instead of like depressing, it was fun. You know, like Hulk books. I love the Hulk. I still love the Hulk. But like the general like gist of the character was he's a depressing motherfucker because he's just like it's, you know, his life is ruined by this creature. Whereas She-Hulk was like, no, I'm good.
She's like, everything's good for me now. And she still was able to become, what was it, a trial lawyer?
She-Hulk? Oh, we're gonna get into that.
Okay.
So her first appearance was Savage She-Hulk #1, February 1980.
Rare kind of thing that their first appearance is actually in the character's first issue. You know, especially Marvel. They like those deep cuts.
Yeah. Oh, completely. And the cool thing about her though was as far as our spotlights on characters, not that like a lot of them have been new characters, but this is a character who's got a 40-year history. She was created by Stan Lee and John Buscema. So she was created by two old school guys.
You know, that's Steve Buscema's daddy.
That's right. And it's John, and there's Sal too, right? Sal Buscema. He is an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always love Sal's work on the Spider-Man. But this is a character. So like I mean, at least speaking for myself, when we cover this powerhouse's history, there's only so much and so long we could stay on certain things. So if you're like a crazy She-Hulk fan and you're like, they didn't cover this, they didn't cover that. This is a character who's been around since 1980. We're sorry. We're doing our best.
Real quick, let's get the team affiliations out of the way. We're talking A-Force. We're talking Defenders. We're talking Fantastic Four. We're talking the Fearsome Four. We're talking
Avengers.
the Future Foundation. We're talking the Avengers. Heroes for Hire. Hulkbusters. The Initiative. The Lady Liberators.
Yeah.
And even S.H.I.E.L.D. So she has been around. And I mean, as far as joining teams, not sexually. I'm not here to speak of
Jesus,
perverts.
Man. Yeah. Well, let's be not. This is a Me Too movement time. We're not. This is we're supporting her. But actually, and not joking, as a female character, she is and has always been a representation of strength for female characters. As far as she's always been badass. Like She-Hulk's always been a cool character. So let's get to some history here. Early life. Jennifer Walters was born and raised in, what's up, Los Angeles?
Yeah.
She was the daughter of Sheriff Morris Walters and Elaine Banner Walters. And you just heard Banner in there because, yes, she is the cousin of Bruce Banner, a.k.a. the Hulk. Now, growing up, she was meek and mousy and had little confidence. But she pulled herself up by her bootstraps and she attended UCLA. That's the University of California, Los Angeles, for those who don't know, where she gained her law degree. So she was a lawyer right off the bat. and she began working as a lawyer in Los Angeles. Now, as I said, she was also the cousin of Bruce Banner. So this is where her fate strikes her, and she becomes the She-Hulk. There was a guy named Nicholas Trask who was a crime boss, and Jennifer and her had crossed paths.
Wasn't there a Trask in X-Men?
Yeah, Simon Trask, right?
Yeah, they like the last name Trask. I wonder if they ever thought that there was a relation, or if there ever was. I don't know myself.
Well, it's like oh god, what is it? It's Sandman was like something Baker, and there's another character named Baker too. I was like, oh, they just somebody had a niche for that name. So yeah, Trask was probably one of those as well.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, her and Bruce were friends, and they would play together. This is what I love too. She would hang out with Bruce in summers with when they were kids, to help him escape from his father's abuse. But she would hang out with him at his place. Now, if I knew my cousin had an abusive father, I'd be like, why don't you come to LA and hang out? Like, I don't want to hang out with you and your dick dad, you know?
Right. Sorry, dick dad.
So back to Nicholas Trask. So he's a crime boss, and she had crossed paths with him. Her dad, who was a sheriff, crossed paths with him, and she had been defending a gangster who had been double crossed by Trask, and offered to turn state's evidence, which would be sufficient to ruin Trask if the case went to trial. So agents of Nicholas Trask, who's a crime boss who had crossed paths with Jen's father, shot and seriously wounded her on a day which just happened to have her cousin Bruce in town. Now,
right.
She had been
at that point, isn't Bruce he's the Hulk at this point, right?
He's full on the Hulk. I don't know if she knew he was the Hulk yet. He might have been high. I don't know. I don't think people knew Bruce Banner was the Hulk at that time.
Well, yeah, but I think he came in to visit her and tell her about his transformation. So,
really?
It was fortunateness in this. Yeah, they're like, right. Oh, so this accident happens, and he's coming into town to talk to her about, oh, by the way, I turn into the Hulk.
Right, exactly. So, realizing she was about to die, Bruce gives her a transfusion of his own blood, which obviously is gamma irradiated, right. Because there was no other supplies in such an emergency in this hospital room that they were in. So after she's
screwed, that's so screwed. You know what I mean? That's a situation.
Yeah. So after she's stabilized, he has her admitted to a local hospital. However, this came to the attention of the police, who considered Bruce a suspect in Jennifer's attack, and Bruce changed into the Hulk to flee. Meanwhile, Trask's thugs attempted a second hit on Jennifer, causing the danger to activate her gamma radiation particles that transfused her blood, turning her skin green and increasing her size to well over 6 feet. Now, the goons were taken aback by this. She obviously beats the crap out of them. And they say at one point, it's like some kind of She-Hulk. And Jennifer booms out, you called me a She-Hulk, so that's what I'll be. And she traps the thugs for the police to find. With the emergency over, she reverted to her normal size and strength. So that was a big thing with She-Hulk. That's right. Why we were saying.
And as She-Hulk, she possessed powers similar to that of the Hulk, correct?
Right. I think she was not, at least at this point, she wasn't on his power level, but she was definitely
She's super strong. She's probably Thing level strong, but she can maintain her intelligence at this time. So she's just this really smart, really Amazonian, huge, tough girl.
Exactly, right. And the cool thing about her in the beginning was, unlike the Hulk, where it was Bruce just got, don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. Turns into the Hulk when he's pushed. She could turn back and forth at will, from what I remember. As we just found out, she turned to normal size and strength. So although Jennifer was at first savage, much like her cousin, she eventually gained the same intelligence that she had as the normal Jennifer Walters. And she quickly came to appreciate that, because she had confidence, assertiveness. I mean, she's this big, beautiful, buff woman now. And for a long time, she felt more comfortable in her She-Hulk form than her human one.
Do you know who basically cured her of the transformations? How she gets gains control? Morbius.
That's right. That is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh my God. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, they find something like, does he drain her of like some of it or something? Is that what it is? Like,
I don't know 100%. He just cures her of the blood disease that's basically causing her all these issues, and after this, she decides to defend him in the trial for his killings when he's a vampire. So basically, it's like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And then at that point, she decides that she's just going to maintain and continue to stay She-Hulk, if I recall.
yeah. And also, basically, so she owes Jared Leto a big thank you.
Yeah, don't we all? Let's just all give a big thank you to Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Hey, side, to a little aside here. What did you think of the Morbius trailer?
I'm intrigued. I honestly, I'm gonna be, people are gonna hate me probably, but I did not mind his version of the Joker so much. I didn't like the whole story behind the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I didn't like the way his Joker looked. Even it just kind of bothered me because I'm a purist when it comes to comics. So I liked the original version, and the version that they did in Suicide Squad. It's not the same look, but it's a similar attitude to what you would get with the Joker. Kind of an insane, crazy guy, that likes to go out and drive around and have fun and be crazy. And that I can relate to on a comic book level. But so yeah, I mean, I think that he's going to do well as Morbius, and I'm excited to see what Sony's going to do with the character, because I feel like Sony's been they've been a little hit a little too hard as far as like people's opinions on what they do and who they are as a company, as a as a studio. I think this hopefully will show that they've got some moxie and they can bring it back around. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of a Jared Leto fan, as in I'm not. But like, if he does a good job in something, I like when he was in Dallas Buyers Club, thought he did a great job.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, so I will, I just because I don't like most of his stuff, if he does a good job, I'm all for it. I have to say, I was like very like, because I like Morbius, I think he's a really cool character. But when I saw that it was Leto got cast, I was like, eh. But that trailer, I thought they really set up their own kind of vibe to it. Like, I don't know if it'll be good, but I was just like, wow, this has like its own kind of feel to it, and it looks cool. And the fact that they're also going like full on, at least at some point, that he's going to look like Morbius the monster, not just Jared Leto running around.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. And I think you were the one that told me that like the prospecting has gone through the roof now. People are like insanely like charging insane amounts for even like cameos and shit.
Yeah, like I mean, his first appearance has always been up there. I mean, I would say like minimum $100. In a mid grade. It's always been up there because he's like a good C-list, character. And but yeah, now on Instagram I see all the sellers selling like the 90s Morbius, like the Midnight Sun stuff, like some early aught stuff, like more everything Morbius they can sell, they're selling. And I'm okay, calm down, guys, calm down. This is actually just, even like if this movie's a hit, those books still won't be worth anything.
Well, I think I was talking recently to Darren and Kevin, and we were talking about prospecting in general, and I told him, I said, villains will rise and villains will fall in the movies and in value normally. That doesn't happen so much with Doctor Doom, and it doesn't happen so much with Magneto, and it doesn't happen so much with Loki. Yeah, and that's because those guys ride the line of good and bad. They ride it well. Totally. And Morbius is one of those characters that he rides the line of good and bad. There's a lot of good in him.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to look at that. You have to, when you're prospecting, you have to look at, is there staying power in this character? Is there an angle that people will appreciate and that he could come back from and people will want to see more of? If he's a one-dimensional character, like, and I hate to say it, but kind of like Sandman, I love Thomas Hayden Church, and to be honest, I was a little disappointed in his performance of Sandman. Not necessarily his fault. but I felt like we've seen it. It's done. I don't ever really need to see another interpretation of Sandman again because there's so many other villains out there that I would prefer to see on the big screen.
Totally.
But if they said we're going to bring Doom back, Doom's been on the screen like 3 times now, 4 actually, if I recall, in cartoon form and stuff like that, and I still want to see more Doom. So there's a difference. There's a big difference, and I think Morbius might have some staying power. And I think to circle back around, I think She-Hulk has definitely got some staying power. She's a character, particularly because she also has, she doesn't have a movie coming out, but she has her own Disney Plus series, if I recall. Am I correct?
Yep. Yeah, Disney Plus. I mean, our little comic group on Facebook, the Super Palookas, we've been, even before this was announced, we've been trying to guess who would make the best She-Hulk, right? Like actress-wise. Gina Carano got thrown out there, obviously, now because The Mandalorian. And I think she'd actually be a great pick. Who else was it? The tall, super tall, like night girl from Game of Thrones. For obvious reasons, she can act and she's huge. So I hope whoever they get, they don't get. I hope they don't do the Jennifer Walters like Meek and then the She-Hulk. Like, so I hope they kind of just have flat out like She-Hulk. Like, so whoever they cast is She-Hulk kind of thing, Yeah. Not like a dual role thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, that would make more sense, but you never know. I mean, what I don't want them to do is I don't want them to go Lou Ferrigno. I don't want them to.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I guess that's what I was getting at. I don't want them to be like, here's Callista Flockhart. Not that they would cast her, but here's Callista Flockhart. She's like a nice attorney, and I just get Italian for a second. I was like, she's a nice attorney.
Yes, you did. I'm going to start calling you Luigi.
She's a nice attorney, but then she becomes this other actress, or something like that.
Right. It wouldn't make sense. So we need somebody that they can. It's going to be tough because we need somebody that they can digitally make look a little smaller, or just, I guess, have them slim down and then have them bulk. I don't like.
Well, that's going to be the big thing because they're doing this show and they're doing Miss Marvel, and obviously those two characters probably need some CGI, right? I mean, Miss Marvel for sure because she shapeshifts and stuff, but like She-Hulk too. Yeah, like are they gonna get, even if they get like Gina Carano, who's big and buff, she's still not as She-Hulk big,
right?
Like nobody is because she's a comic book character. So it's like, how much are they gonna CGI it, and how much are they not? So I'm very interested to see that show. I'm very excited for that show. So back to her history. So she had a bunch of solo adventures. She had she had a whole series that, like we were saying, the Savage She-Hulk ran for about, it was like 70 issues or no, it was short. It was like 24 or 25. Yeah. And the reason I know that is because I don't know if you remember this, but when I was getting pretty heavy back into comic collecting, and I've curbed it now, but man, and I'm sure you've done it. In fact, I know you did. We're both guilty of this. The late night drinking, just buying shit on eBay, like or bidding on stuff, or like making offers.
That's how I got my first Venom appearance.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's for some reason it's very easy after like 2 whiskeys to be like, you know what? I need that first Venom. Boop! I pushed the button. I got it.
Yeah.
Yay! And then you wake up like as if you slept with your sister the next day. And you're like, what did I do?
Right.
What did I spend? But I remember there was a guy selling a full run of Savage She-Hulk from 1 to like 24, 25, whatever the whole thing was, for $80. And I was like, damn, that's a good, because I already actually had a CGC She-Hulk, like a 9.2 I got for a good deal. I think I got that for $80 by itself. So I was like, man, the whole series for this. And I remember like texting you I was at a bar and I was like, should I get it? And you're like, oh no, it's a good deal. And then I was like, I looked it up, it's good. And then I remember being at the bar and just being like, purchase. And that's how I got that whole set. Yeah, inebriated at a bar in Tarzana.
We're bad enablers. We call each other, or I'll message people and I'll be like, should I do this? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to talk me out of it. Like,
yeah. But it's a great deal.
Yeah, it happens. So, She-Hulk basically is she's synonymous with the Avengers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that any character that's based off another character has had a stronger run than She-Hulk. I can't think of anybody offhand, to be honest. Like
No.
her being based off of the Bruce Banner, the regular Hulk, having her like separating herself from him. I think that everybody has done such a good job, and even with John Byrne writing and drawing some of the very strange covers that he did for Sensational She-Hulk.
Well, and
Some that
she was pre-Deadpool too, with breaking the fourth wall in that, right?
oh
That was a big thing with that book. Yeah.
And because he was holding her clothes for her at one point, if I recall, and not letting her wear them because he said if she did something that she would she would let him draw her nude or some nonsense. I don't know, it was crazy.
Whoa, John, calm down, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think John was repressed, perhaps. It's
probably.
Yeah. I get it. As a writer or as an artist, we can do whatever we want. And in fact, they did that not too recently, or not too far off in Legends of Tomorrow, where Heatwave was able to create physically his lead character in the romantic novels he was writing, and she came to life, and I believe they had relations multiple times.
Wow, that is some, like, what season are they on? That's definitely some later season. We're out of ideas.
I think that's like season 4 or something like that.
That sounds like some season 4 writing. So She-Hulk would go on to join the Avengers, as we said. She would go on to join the Fantastic Four. I think most notable when she first joined the Avengers is when they were all transported to what was it, the battle world by the Beyonder, and the first Secret Wars story. That was she was really prevalent in that. I remember there was a brutal issue. It was it was right before the Spider-Man issue with the symbiote, but I think it was issue 7. She, because if you don't know the Secret Wars story, it was like the Beyonder, this cosmic being, transports like half the world's like heroes and half the world's villains onto this battle world planet, and they pretty much just literally battle each other. And it was like the X-Men, the Avengers, and a bunch of randoms like Spider-Man and stuff. And then it was like the Wrecking Crew, some new characters like Titania, who became like a She-Hulk arch nemesis because she was a super strong character who I think Doom gave her powers, but yeah, she was like on the level of She-Hulk. But there was an issue, I think it was issue 7, where like the Wrecking Crew, the Absorbing Man, Titania, like all just beat, kind of like that Hercules issue of the Avengers where they like all beat the shit out of him and like almost killed him. They did that with She-Hulk. And I was like, Jesus, like as a kid, I was like, because as a kid back then, I was like, I don't want to see, I still don't, but I mean, like, it was just like hard to see a girl get like really beat up in a comic book, even if it was She-Hulk. Right. I remember being like very affected by that. But the cool thing was the next issue, like everybody comes and like beats the shit out of them, and they get their revenge. But she was like super injured from that because she went in there and like was like whooping all their asses.
Yeah, they did that also in the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes animated cartoon. They did that Hercules story again, but I think it was with Thor, and it was
really?
It was very quick. It was where it's like in season 1, I think, where the all the baddies teamed up and basically infiltrated the Avengers mansion, and then Thor was the last one standing at one point, and they all attacked him. And then I think it left Hawkeye, Black Panther, and Ant-Man were the only ones left to defeat all of the baddies, and they ended up doing it. But a little different, but still, somewhat Marvel likes to pit like really bad people against really underpowered people. I think that's why we see Hawkeye like facing a lot of big people, and that's going to lead into one story that I very much enjoyed that I wanted to spotlight real quick since we have a few minutes. It's called The Search for She-Hulk, and it was written by Jeff Johns. And and I think Scott Collins did the art on this, and it was like a 4 or 6 part series, 4 to 5, I think. She-Hulk returned to the Avengers, and do you remember Jack of Hearts?
Oh yeah, I love that guy.
Jack of Hearts is like this weird like space dude, like he was like kind of like the Silver Surfer, but not.
Well, yeah, I think he had. Well, I guess yeah. Well, Norrin Rad was like an alien, but looked human. But yeah, he was Jack of Hearts was like a human. His a very convoluted origin. It was like he was exposed to something called like zero energy, and that's what gave him his power. So he's like kind of cosmic, kind of not. But yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah,
I'd be really hard pressed to try to convince anybody to buy a Jack of Hearts first appearance, simply because it's so convoluted. It would be really hard to do. I like the character, but I think it's too hard to do for television or movies. So I don't foresee him coming anytime soon. In the next
not at all.
20 years. Yeah.
No, he's super cool look, super cool character, but yeah,
right.
Very too convoluted. Like,
and he has the ability to absorb radiation, which is interesting because he was able to absorb so much radiation from She-Hulk that it made her unable to control her changes, whether she would be, savage or, I guess, sensational in a way. She tore Vision in half then because she went savage, and then she went on the run, and then all of the Avengers had to kind of go after her and bring her in, which they weren't used to, and it's been a long time since Banner's gone apeshit. So they're like, oh shit, what do we do? So it ended up being like, of course, like I was saying earlier, one of the last Avengers left was Hawkeye, and he was just taunting the shit out of her until they could bring Jack of Hearts in to like absorb some more radiation from her and bring her back to normal. But it was an interesting story because she was just wreaking havoc on this small town, and Hawkeye had to step in to try to save the day and distract her long enough, and it was pretty good. It was Jeff Johns didn't do too much in the Marvel world, but he did do some Avenger stuff, and what he did was interesting. He had an issue where Hank Pym and what's Wasp's name?
Janet Van Dyne.
Thank you, Janet. So Janet and Hank took turns shrinking down and going enjoying each other's genitals in Vegas. Yes, this
was in a comic, really?
Yes, it happened. I'll text you the issue later after this. It was in a Jeff Johns issue, and it happened. It exists out there in the world. They were shrinking and going and playing with each other's genitals, and I just don't like. I don't know what was he boxing in there, or I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like what she would do, because I was like, I think you'd want just a regular sized lady for the guy, like, huh? Like, yeah. She's like, I'm gonna tickle your balls, and he's like, like feels like there's an ant on my dick. Like, yeah.
After he grew up, he was like after he grew out of her lady bits, he was like, now it's your turn, baby. And I was like, what's gonna happen? Like,
he's like, you're in my dick, get out of it.
Right? Because no man ever wants anything. Okay, I take it back. There's some fucking weirdos out there in the world. But no normal man wants any woman to put anything in their dick hole. Let's be real here.
No.
Nothing. So I don't understand where this is coming from or where it was going. I'm totally confused in life. But let's get back to She-Hulk. I've gone off topic. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Yeah, I was gonna just say, start naming some kind of prevalent things. That was one of them. Yeah, I think the reason she ripped Vision in half, it was that whole what was it? Disassembled. Avengers Disassembled story. Where the Avengers were getting like, Scarlet Witch was behind it all. Remember in Marvel, that was like for like 2 years, they just made the Scarlet Witch like the worst person in the world. She ruined the Avengers. She said no more mutants and like took away all the half the mutants' power. Like somebody had a mad on for Scarlet Witch for some reason, because they
raging since a child. They were like, "Fuck this lady, fucking hate her. Looks
I
like
hate
my
this
mom.
character.
My
Yeah.
mom beat me. I hate my life." And then they got in charge somehow. Yeah,
I'm gonna
crazy.
make her. Yeah. So let's see. We had so she was part of Civil War. She was here's an interesting thing with Civil War. As Jennifer Walters, she understood the views of those against the axe. People who are against it, because the lawyer part of her. But for some reason, when she was She-Hulk, she was against it. So it was kind of showing that there was a little bit of a personality shift. Um, at one point, she eloped in Vegas with John Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson's son, who at that time was Man-Wolf, that random character that he became.
Oh God, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that got annulled. I mean, I'm sure she's a lawyer. She made it happen. Let's see. She was part of the whole Red Hulk saga, and at one point there was a Red She-Hulk, and I think that was a different character. I don't think it was her.
Honestly, I didn't follow it enough to care.
No. I started checking out when everything was like Red Hulk and all that. I mean,
yeah.
I know the Red Hulk was actually, what was it, Thunderbolt Ross, right?
Right. I just want to see like one of the Hulks just cover themselves in scat and call themselves the Brown Hulk.
Brown Hulk.
I would read that.
Let's see. She was part of. This was a cool team. I don't know. It's such a random one, but during that Fear Itself storyline, which I will admit I did not read any of that, but she was part of a team called the Fearsome Four. Mm-hmm. It was with Howard the Duck, She-Hulk, Frankenstein's monster, and Nighthawk. That is the most random team. Jesus. And their whole thing was they were trying to stop Man-Thing, because Man-Thing, his whole thing is his powers are fear related. Like, he who knows fear will burn at the Man-Thing's touch was his big thing. And since somebody was messing with actual like fear itself, he was going crazy. So they this random group of people had to help him there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that has got Howard the Duck, Frankenstein's monster, Nighthawk, and She-Hulk. That is such a random team. It's awesome, but it's random as hell.
I'm gonna say if I had to pick a Frankenstein's monster character, I would definitely go with the DC version from Creature Commandos. I felt that version is a cooler version. He's more war hardened and just cool all around. Agents of Shade. He was basically Nick Fury. If you ever read Frankenstein: The Agents of Shade, it's basically Nick Fury and Agents of Shield. It's just a parody of it, but in like a monster world. It's super freaking cool.
That is a first appearance I still have to get, is the Creature Commandos for my monster collection.
Oh, dude, great.
DC always handled Frankenstein better. That is true. They always handled the Frankenstein in Marvel was kind of they never really.
It was weird.
Yeah,
they did it in DC when Robin died. Batman went nuts when his son died, and he basically kidnapped Frankenstein and started to like dissect him, pull him apart to see what was. Yeah, I'm not kidding. To see what was making him live, so he could use that power to bring his son back. That legit happened. I think it was a Peter Tomasi storyline that was going on in Batman or Detective Comics or something at the time. This probably wasn't more than, I would say, 5 to 8 years ago. It wasn't that long ago, to be honest. But when you get older, time is relative. It's like fluid. It just flows in and out. I don't even know. I still feel like I'm 15. So what do I know?
Yeah, I totally. I mean, I have kids and I'm married, and I'm still like, I look at them sometimes and I go, I'm responsible for you. Like I gotta, because I still have my comic collection in the garage right now. So this character's been ever. She joined the Mighty Avengers. She was part of the A-Force, as we said, which was the all like a women's team, which was really cool. They did. She became a Grey Hulk for a while, and I think they just called her Hulk at that one point. So she was technically like Hulk for a bit. And I think she's been involved in that the story that's going on or just finishing up right now in Marvel. So that's the thing. It's like all the modern books. I mean, I'll go in and out on some stuff, but like when it comes to like mainstream, like across the board, like when we were younger, we were like, oh, cool, there's crossovers, and we would get so into it and collect them all. The older I get, the more I'm like, I'm not collecting every issue of a story because, I'll either wait for the graphic novel to come out or I'll just collect the book I like,
Yeah.
Like, Avengers versus X-Men was one of the last ones that I was like, that was actually the one where I was like, I'm not collecting all this stuff, because it's like, you start to realize like a lot of those like crossover stories, like they're good ideas. There's cool, something big happens and then it ends up like getting switched anyway. It's like somebody might die, but that person's going to come back. So you're like, it doesn't matter. Read what you like.
No, they end people and bring them back. Like Thor, they had, what was his name? He was like the god of war, Ares. Ares, like I'm pretty sure Sentry like tore him the fuck apart.
Yeah, he got torn in half. Yeah.
Right. And now I'm like, I was reading a comic book and Ares is sitting at a table having lunch, and I'm like, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Obviously they brought Ares back, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah, they just do it so many times. Death of comic book characters doesn't matter anymore. It just really doesn't at all.
No.
It would never be anything I would tell somebody to invest in, ever.
It used to be, there was a saying where they said, at least for Marvel, they said the only characters that stay dead are Bucky and Uncle Ben. And then, obviously, Bucky, Winter Soldier, so that one got turned around. So literally now it's like only Uncle Ben is the only character who has not been brought back.
They're down to Uncle Ben, and that's it. That's the last one that they're going with.
And I guarantee some guy, one day is going to be like, I'm going to be the one who does it. And you'll be like, why? You've ruined Spider-Man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think we did a pretty decent like glaze over on She-Hulk. Is there anything else you want to add to her?
No, I'd just say like my favorite. I mean, I think I always loved her is because I grew up watching in the late 80s, early 80s, whatever. It was the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and then they also had an Incredible Hulk cartoon that only went for like one season, but it was around the same time. And there was an episode that was super badass, and it was all about She-Hulk and Hulk and how it gave her origin. And they actually did it pretty much like, I think they did it like, although they did it instead of like a gangster trying to like put a hit on her and shoot her, they made it like she had like a cooking accident, and then Bruce Banner was there and he helped her.
Crazy.
He was like, oh no, it's gas explosion, and then like he gave her the blood transfusion. But so I was introduced to She-Hulk. That was my introduction to her as a kid. So I was like, oh, she's pretty badass. And it was like her against Hydra with Hulk and all that. And it was a pretty badass episode as a kid. So yeah, nice. she's kind of a nostalgic character for me. I'm a big fan.
Good. Yeah, I'm also a fan. I was introduced to the She-Hulk issues early from my local comic shop back in Ohio. Uncle Flint Comics, God rest their soul, they no longer exist, but I'll still always plug them. Was introduced to them basically because the owner he would sell off his collection, pieces of it from time to time, and he was always trying to sell like sensational She-Hulk issues like here and there when he would get extra ones, and I would buy them, and in fact I think I'm pretty close to piecing the whole thing together. I just need a few here and there to get it all together, but I have some sentimentality behind it as well. So she's a cool character. She's super strong. She's an integral part of the Avengers, the Fantastic Four. And I think that, with this new Disney Plus series, she's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And if you haven't picked up her first appearance yet, you might be too late. But if not, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Just try it.
Yeah, definitely give it a shot. It's a hard one to say because it's definitely, it was one of those ones that people were grabbing a while ago anyway, because it was a kind of a pretty semi-gettable book, but she was just she's a big character, so it was like everybody kind of wanted that one. So I mean I have two, but I'm not selling them because one I kind of gave to my daughter, but maybe I'll just take that one and sell it on eBay, and then she'll one day, like years later, she'll be like, "Hey, Dad, where's my college fund with that She-Hulk you said?" And then I'll be like, "I sold it on eBay to buy another comic." I hate you,
It was
Dad.
worth it. Shut up.
Yeah. First appearance of short boy. What was that character we were talking about? The guy who goes and wears like roller skates and short shorts.
Skate Man.
Skate Man. Yeah, I got the first appearance of Skate Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Can't
yeah.
go
That'll. On that note, on the short note, that'll do it for us. As always, as you hear a million times, please rate, review us, subscribe to us if you haven't. Please tell all your comic book friends. Tell your friends that hate comic books just to get them, to just kind of like get them good. They'll be like, "Why did you have me listen to that podcast? You said it wasn't about comic books," and then that's all they talked about. Fuck you.
It's about football.
Yeah.
Go Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
So, well, God, we're on everything now. Anywhere you can listen to a pod.
We're on
You're
a
on.
mac and cheese box.
Yeah.
We are. We just got on Blueberry. So, and that's BLUBRRY, by the way, strangely enough. We're on there. You can find us on Spotify, Google Play Music, iTunes, YouTube. You can even reach out to us on Instagram and on Facebook and Twitter. So we're everywhere.
Yeah, write us a letter.
Right.
know.
And if you can't find us at any of those places, maybe we'll see you
at the comic shop.
This has been The Real Short Box. We'll see you at the comic shop. Thanks for listening.